can hear me okay and see me okay. We're good. Awesome. All right. So we'll start today on our bottoms, a little easy seated pose. Like usual, let's root those sitting bones down into our mat. Take a big inhale through our nose, grow nice and tall. Pull the shoulders back and down, lengthen throughout our spine. And then exhale from our mouths. Inhale through our nose. Exhale from our mouths. Take some time to check in with how we are feeling right now before our practice. See if there's anything that might need a little special attention. Could be a mental attention, could be physical. We'll just bring those thoughts inward. We'll release the tension, let go of our judgment, our expectations, any sense of competition. And we'll remind ourselves that there is no real right or wrong way to practice. Modifications and taking breaks throughout our practice is all part of the journey. The only thing that we aim to do is connect with ourselves and not hurt ourselves. And we'll inhale, lift those hands up to the sky. Open the fingers wide, we'll lower the shoulders, breathe into that belly, activate all around our torso. And then exhale, we'll hinge forward into a little fold. Drop the head round in the spine. And then slowly we'll roll our way up. Hands come up high, little arch in the back, tiny hint of an arch in the back. And then exhale again, folding forward. Right here, we'll keep our chest low and we'll walk our hands around over to one side, centering our chest over that knee. And then back to the center. Lower our chest down. And then walk the hands over to the other side when we're ready. And then back to the center. And slowly walking those hands back towards us, rounding and rolling back up to the top. hands to our knees. Lengthen on that inhale, and then exhale. Let's walk our hands around to the right. Little twist here. And back to the center. Lengthen on that inhale, and then exhale around to the left. And back to the center. Good. Let's inhale, hands come up high. Now this time, let's keep our backs nice and straight as we exhale. Folding forward, hinging at the hips, bringing those hands out in front of us. And then wiggle those fingers forward. We'll lift our bums up off of the floor, rolling over those shins and finding our way onto our hands and our knees in tabletop. Fingers are wide, wrists are underneath of our shoulders, knees are under our hips. We'll just go into our cats and our cows, rounding as we exhale, lifting the spine up to the sky. Inhale, we'll drop that tummy. Lift the heart, lift the tail. Exhale, round into our cat. Inhaling cow. Moving with our breath, just flowing between the poses at our pace. And we'll do one more of each. And then when we are finished, finding that neutral spine, slightly tucking the tail so that we get rid of that arch in our low back, pressing into our fingers, spreading those shoulder blades apart behind us, lengthening from the top of our head all the way down to the base of our spine at our tail. And then we'll just bring those hips back to our heels. Hands are going to stay out in front of us in like a little froggy position. And we'll just take this left hand and touch behind the head. We're not pushing or anything, just hanging out here. And then inhale, we'll lift the elbow up to the sky. And then exhale, try and touch the opposite elbow with that left elbow. And then inhale up and exhale down. Just little twists with our breath. Inhale up and down. And we'll do one more. Inhale. And exhale. Touch that elbow. And then we'll come back to the center and release that left hand. Good. And then right hand will touch behind the head. Lengthen on in the spine. As we inhale, we'll lift the elbow up to the sky. And exhale, bringing it down toward the opposite arm. Inhale up. Exhaling down. Up and down with our breath. One more. And touch. And back to the center, releasing that hand to the mat. And then we'll come back to our tabletop. From here, let's move around in our wrists a little bit. So fingers are pointing forward, and we're just going to move those shoulders around in little circles around our wrists. We'll do 2 or 3 in one direction, and then we'll go the other direction. And again, 2 or 3 or 4, and then back to the beginning. And now we'll take those fingers and we'll point them towards us. Doing our best to press those palms down in towards our mat. If our butts lift up a little bit, that's totally fine. Once we get those hands pressing down into the mat, we can gently move backwards without lifting those hands up. And we can move in those little circles again, listening to what our body is needing right now. And then slowly begin with the base of our hand, lifting, opening up those palms, lengthening the fingers, and then releasing them completely off the mat. And then we can give them a couple of shakes, some wiggles, little doggy paddle, whatever. Good. And then back to our tabletop. Right here, let's do a couple of cats and cows. Arching and rounding, exhaling and inhaling, and then again finding that neutral spine. And we're just going to play jump rope with our backs. So we'll bring our back over to the one side, lowering it down to the floor, over to the other side, and then lift it nice and high before we go all the way around again. Moving with intention. Good. Let's do 3 around in one direction. And then we'll go the other way. Another 3 times, dropping that tummy, opening to the side, lifting nice and high. One more time around. And then back to that neutral spine again. Finding our balance, our good, strong core, breathing deep, not only into this belly, but opening up into the sides, into our backs. When we're ready, we'll lift that right hand out in front of us, and we'll press the left foot back behind us, turning those toes down to the floor so that our hips are level. And lower down to our tabletop. We'll go over to the other side. The left hand comes up, right foot goes back. and back down. And then right hand, left foot. And now right here, we're going to go into a cactus arm on the right side and then bend the knee out to the left like a little puppy at the fire hydrant. And then back to the center, nice and long. And then again, to our bent limbs. And then out nice and long. Third time's a charm. Bending out to the side. And then out nice and long. And now let's bring that elbow and the knee together underneath our tummy, rounding in the spine. And lengthen nice and long. And touching underneath, rounding. Inhale, lengthening. Exhaling, we'll round. Last time, lengthen. And back to our tabletop. And then second side, left hand, right foot. Find that balance, the strength and stability. And then we'll break out to the side, little cactus arm on one side, bent knee on the other, and then back to the center. And then out to the side. Lengthen in the center. And last time, out to the side. And lengthen to the center. And now let's bring the elbow and the knee together, rounding, tucking our chin. And then inhale, we'll lengthen. Exhale, round and touch underneath. Inhale, lengthen. Last time, round and touch. And inhale, we lengthen. And lower back down to the mat. Very good. Let's just bring those hips back to our child's pose. Arms are out in front of us. And lower the chest. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. And then we'll come back up to our tabletop. Good. And then we'll just bring those shoulders forward just a little bit. So we're into a bit of a baby plank. Pressing into those hands. Lifting those hips just the tiniest a bit so that they're staying in line. And then exhale, we'll lower down. Good. Inhale to a little cobra. And press back, child's pose. Inhale to our baby plank. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale, little cobra. And exhale back to our child's pose. Let's do that 2 more times. Lifting up to plank, nice strong plank. As we lower down, we lower together. Instead of droop, lift the chest. Press back. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale, we lower down. Inhale, we lift. And now from here, let's just lower that chest back down to the mat. Hands stay underneath of our shoulders. Begin to pull those shoulders back. Lift the heart, and we're going to press into those hands into a seal pose. So we're trying to keep those hips on the floor instead of upward facing dog where we lift. I'm going to keep those hips on the floor, lift, and then exhale down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, we'll lift. Pull that spine forward. And exhale down. Good. Now we're going to lift up about halfway. And we're just going to look over one shoulder and then the other shoulder. Again. Last time. And back down to the mat. Take a breath here. Exhale, pressing those hips back to child's pose. Wiggle our fingers, round in that spine. From here, keeping our hips over our heels, let's walk those hands over to the right, reaching across our body with that left hand. And then let's just walk all the way around to the other side. Chest comes low, hips are low, reaching across with that right hand. And back to the center. Open those fingers wide and just press each little finger down into the mat. Press this back heel of the hand down and then just barely lift in the palm so that our fingers are engaged. Pull those shoulders back. We'll tuck the toes underneath of our butt. Stretch out those feet and toes. Feel the connection of our low belly and our thighs as we begin to lift and lengthen those legs into our downward facing dog. Stay with some bent legs at first so we can get that spine nice and straight. And then we can slowly begin to pedal those legs and lower the heels down toward the mat as best we can. Good. Let's lift up the right leg. And we'll kick ourselves in the bum, bring the knee into our chest. Slowly, we'll step that foot forward into a lunge, framing our foot with our hands. Left leg is out long, or if we ever need to, we can lower down that knee. Wiggle in. See how it feels right now. Let's keep that left hand on the floor. Inhale, right hand comes up. And back down. Good. Let's find the balance and lift both hands up. And then just continue making that rainbow. We'll again twist to the right. And back up to the top. And exhale, hands come down to the mat. Sink into that lunge, lengthen in the spine. Looking forward, we want very much to look at our toes. Let's lengthen as we look forward. We're proud. And then press into those hands, shift their weight back into downward facing dog. Inhale, let's come forward into a plank. And we'll lower down. Inhale, we can choose which back bend we want to do. We can do a baby cobra again. We can come up to upward facing dog. We'll tuck those toes, lift the hips again, shift that weight back towards our feet. And then again, let's lift that right leg. We'll kick ourselves in the butt this time, open up the hip to the right. And then slowly we'll bring the knee into our chest again and we'll set ourselves up for pigeon. So knee will go right behind that right wrist, flexing the foot out in front of us. Left leg can soften back behind. Bring those left hips forward. If we're happy here, up here on our hands, we stay here. If we would like, we can walk those hands forward just a little bit and come down to our elbows. We'll stay here for another 5 breaths. And then inhale here, walk those hands back, lift our chest. And now we're gonna bend that left knee, reach back with our left hand and bring that heel in towards our bum. If it's tough here, we can always sit down on that right hip. Find where we're at today. Good. And then we'll release that left foot. And now we'll sit down onto that right hip. And we're just going to bring that left leg all the way around so that the foot finds its spot on the opposite side of the right thigh. And then we're just going to take that left hip down toward our mat. Hug tight with the right hand. Lengthen in the spine. And then we'll just do a little twist to the left. Left hand comes back behind our butt. Lengthen on the inhales. Twist on the exhales. And then slowly we'll unwind our spine. We'll unwind our legs. Hands come down to the mat. We'll tuck this left toe back behind us and we'll step back, downward facing dog. Feel free, pedal it out. Give ourselves a little bit of a wiggle and wag our tails. And then settle into that down dog. Let's lengthen the back. Do our best to implement some length in the legs. Good strong shoulders. Good, let's inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to a back bend. Tuck those toes, press back, downward facing dog. And then we'll lift up our left foot back behind us. And then we'll bring that foot forward into our lunge, framing the foot with our hands. Wiggle our way into it. Good, and we'll keep that right hand on the floor. Lift up the left, sink the hips down, open up, little twist here. And back down. Let's find that balance. Inhale, both hands come up high, sink down into that lunge, and we'll just continue the rainbow with our hands as we open up to the left. Doing our best to keep our shoulders over our hips if we can. And then back up to the center. Good. Exhale back down. Let's step back, downward facing dog. Inhale forward. Exhale, we'll lower down. Inhale to our choice of back bend. Tuck the toes. Back to our down dog. Again, lifting that left leg. We'll kick ourselves in the bum and open the hip up to the left. And then we'll bring that knee forward and set ourselves up for pigeon this time. Knee behind the wrist, flexing that foot, softening the leg behind us. Couple of settling breaths here. And then if we would like, we can slowly walk those hands forward, lowering down onto the elbows. Or not. We'll stay here for another 5 breaths. One more inhale. We'll stay for that exhale. And then slowly we'll help ourselves back up to our hands. We'll bend that right foot, reach back with the right hand, find those feet or toes, and we'll bring the heel in towards our keister. And then we'll release the foot. We'll lower ourselves down onto the left hip and bring that right leg all the way around. Foot comes to the outside of that left hip or left thigh. Right hip comes down. We'll hug with that left arm. Lengthen on the inhale. And then exhale, twisting to the right. Right hand finds its spot right behind our butt as an extension to our spine. Keep ourselves nice and tall as we lengthen on those inhales. Exhale, we twist a little bit more. Urging that right hip down toward our mat. And then slowly we'll release, unwind. Hands come down to our mats. We'll tuck that right toe back behind us. Step back for our downward facing dog. Pedal it out. Good. Let's inhale forward into our plank. Good, strong plank here. Exhale, let's slowly lower ourselves down. And then when we're ready, inhale, scooping ourselves up into our choice of back bend. We'll tuck those toes, lift the hips, press into the hands and to the feet. And then we'll lower the knees down to our mat, soften the feet. We'll bring those hips back over the heels for child's pose. Okay. Now let's walk those hands towards our knees. We'll lift our chest. Inhale, hands come up high. We'll lift the hips up and forward, lifting the heart, bringing those arms a little bit back. And then exhale, we'll come back down, child's pose. And then again, walking those hands back to us, lifting the hips, lifting the heart. And now this time we can come into cactus arms. And then back to our child's pose. And again, walking those hands back, lifting up onto our knees. Let's bring those arms back behind us. You can even make little fists back right to our low back. We'll pull the shoulders like we want to bring those elbows together. Lengthen, and then slowly begin to bring those shoulders back, but the hips stay forward. Trying to keep those hips over the knees as opposed to doing one of those. Although that took an immense amount of strength on my part. And then exhale, releasing back down to our child's pose. And let's swish those feet over to one side. We'll come onto our bottoms. Feet will come out in front of us. And while we're here, we haven't done this one in a very long time. We'll work our way into boats, walking our feet backwards towards our bums. Nice straight back here. We can hold on to our thighs if we would like as we slowly find that balance. Bring the knees together. We're holding a piece of paper in between those knees. We don't want it to fall down. And we find where we're at today, as we have not probably done boat in a while. And then lowering those feet down, we can hug ourselves around our knees, give ourselves a little wiggle. Let's do round two. So squeezing those thighs together, walking the feet in towards us, keeping our shoulders over our hips as best as we can. And then slowly we'll rock back just a bit and lift those feet up for boat. And lowering those feet down, rocking forward. Give ourselves a bit of a wiggle if we need. And then we'll keep a hold of those legs and we'll rock back onto our backs. Whew. Give ourselves a little massage as we roll around onto our mats. And then we find our little egg. Bringing our chin in toward our chest, forehead to our knees. And then we'll release those feet down to the mats, bent knees, shoulders soften underneath of us. Hands come to our sides right here by our hips. We'll press into those feet and begin to tuck the tail. Feel our entire back press into our mats. The more we tuck, our butt begins to lift up off of the floor, and we'll come up into a bridge. Again, bring those knees together, lifting the hips nice and high, lifting the back up off of our mat all the way up to our shoulders. And then exhale, starting at the top of our spine, rolling our way down to the base. And then again, lifting from the base up to the top. And exhale, we'll just slowly let each little vertebra come down to the mat. One more time, lifting from the base all the way up to the top. And then exhale, lowering it down. Good. Now we're going to lift up that right foot. It doesn't have to be super straight, but we're taking that foot up off of the floor and then lift up into our bridge and then exhale down. Press that foot up toward the sky, lift up into the bridge and then exhale down. You can always do one more. Inhale, lift high. And now let's take that right ankle, cross it over the left knee, and then slowly we'll lower down into a figure four here. Let's move that right knee away from us. We can even just barely touch to remind that knee it wants to go away. And now hands come to our sides. We're just going to bring both legs over to the left, keeping that cross. On our next inhale, let's bring those legs back to the center. We'll release that right leg up to the sky. We'll hold back behind the thigh just a little bit and encourage the leg to come towards us. And then release. Both feet come down to the mat. Bent knees. Arms come to the sides. Let's work on the other side. So lifting the left leg. Inhale. Let's press that foot all the way up to the sky, lifting the hips. And then exhale, we'll lower down. And then inhale, we'll lift. And exhale, lowering that back down. And for fun, we'll do one more. And then we'll cross the ankle over the right knee and lower that back onto our mat. Take a couple of breaths here. Let that hip open up. Knees going away from us. Ankle is anchored onto that right knee. Arms are out to our sides, and we'll just take both of those legs and let them fall over to the right. On our next inhale, we'll bring those legs back to the center. Keep that left foot where it is, or that right foot where it is. Left leg will come out nice and long up toward the sky. Hands can find a spot behind. So just help that leg come towards us a little bit. And then we'll bend that left knee. Right knee will come in. We'll roll up into our little egg. And we'll open our knees nice and wide. Elbows will go in between those legs. Hands will hold the pinky toe side of our feet. We'll relax those shoulders back down into our mats. And we'll help those legs come down with our hands. Think about those tailbones moving down toward our mat. Whole spine is imprinting into the ground for our dead bug. And then we'll release the feet. Again, roll up into our little ball. Couple of final breaths here. One more deep inhale. And then exhale. Release into our Shavasana. So let our body find a spot where it wants to be, and it can stay for a few minutes. We breathe deeply at first. Bring in nice, happy energy. We exhale any excess heat or stress. And we give ourselves permission to just be. We will not expect anything from ourselves. We let our mind just wander. Our bodies just rest. Begin to deepen our breath. We'll wiggle our fingers and our toes. We slowly come back into our space. Bring our knees into our chest, and we'll roll over onto our side and help ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. Wherever we land is perfect. We take a moment again to check in with how we are feeling. Are we more relaxed or more energized? A little bit of both. More focused or at peace? And we'll bring our hands together at our hearts and give thanks for all of the gifts that we gave ourselves today. I thank you so much for joining me, for permitting me to help you through your practice. I wish you all a very, very wonderful, happy day and a great finale to your week. Eddie and I are so happy to be able to be a part of your journey. The light and the divine in me recognizes and respects the light and the divine in each of you. And when we are together, whether physically or virtually, we are one. Namaste.